Oh, dude, grab that bowl of... It's really good, though. Christ.
Blueberry lemonade sounded like it was something that would be delicious.
Blueberry lemonade vodka bowl.
We're using bowls.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, I just watched one of Freya's hairs float down in front of me, but I can't see where it is in my bowl.
You must drink it and absorb her power.
Oh god, she doesn't have much power.
That's true, yeah. You drink it and it makes you weaker. Yeah. And it just gives... Well, it might give you just a bunch of like blonde hair all over your body.
Are smeared out? Oh, they're twist off.
Yeah.
Time to get ice. Jesus, I looked right past it.
I mean, you didn't get ice though. I had to tell you where it was
After you said, "Did you not see those ices?" I briefly got a little like flash of recognition. Was that the label that I saw and didn't register in the fridge?
That's so good.
The one in the cup cabinet, 100%. I looked right past because there weren't tall glasses, so I immediately just saw the bowls and thought that would be more fun to drink out
Yeah,
of.
I put them with the tallest glasses I had, but I guess it just wasn't enough.
All right, well, let me get down on one knee here.
Perfect.
You narrate or comment to yourself while I finish this up.
Okay. Oh yeah, daddy, faster. Oh, get it all down. Tilt that shit vertical. Back of your throat. Hard chug. That was pretty good.
That was cold.
You must have taken the fridge one then, not the covered one. Oh, I'm so... Now I almost feel bad.
I am cry boy.
Oh, God.
Thank you, though.
Yeah, no problem.
I appreciate it. I guess I'm not driving tonight?
Oh, I was planning on Ubering anyway.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I don't go to Foxwoods and come back sober. That's not an option.
Oh boy, here we go.
Yeah.
This is going to be fun. How many of your coworkers are going?
So that went to the thing. So, I mean, it was only planned from 2 to 6. So
what was that? What is the event?
It was just like a little holiday-esque get-together thing, just like coworkers having fun outside of work. And people, they planned it from 2 to 6 so that people could like bring their families and everything, because some of the people in their like 30s.
So this is not just like you and the young friends. This was like a company event.
Like the whole, it was like the whole department, but just one of the guys in my department was like, "Hey, let's all go to."
Okay, cool.
So yeah, so it was only planned from 2 to 6. So the only people staying out will probably be the rad young hip kids like us,
and 1 or 2 Klingons.
Perhaps, yes. The aliens will also be there. Dude, speaking of aliens, I was listening to a podcast earlier, and it was like the guy was like interviewing this woman who like she does like astrology and is kind of like psychic or whatever, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be fucking good. But she was making like some actual predictions. Like she wasn't just like talking a lot of BS, and she made the prediction. She's like, oh yeah, in a couple of years, like I think that due to the way the stars and planets are or whatever, that we're going to start seeing a lot of like alien stuff and like the government's relationship with aliens, and that's going to start coming out. When was this
video recorded?
And so I look at the date and it was released in 2017.
That's so spot on.
Isn't that so nuts?
The Bob Lazar thing, Commander whatever the heck, the naval report. That's crazy.
I couldn't believe it. I was like,
okay,
wow, like
okay.
I mean, she probably just got lucky, but that's so specific that not only saying like, oh yeah, stuff with aliens is going to happen, like that we're going to see that like some of the government's connection to them is going to come to light in a couple of years.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about all that, but there are so many people that believe so strongly, and there's such a vast range of coincident-like events that some of it I'm inclined to think is like, all right, maybe there's something you don't quite get. Maybe saying psychic isn't right, but maybe you're attuned to just something that we're not quite catching. Like some devices pick up radio waves at different frequencies better than others. Some people are able to like emotionally read other people better in person. Maybe there's some other frequency that they're just paying attention to a bit more.
Because some of the stuff she was talking about was how, you know, people from this like time period, like they end up being like a lot of go-getters and like, or whatever. She was just ascribing different personality traits to people born in different like, you know, generations down to like a decade or so or whatever. And so that's fair to see those, I think, generalities like happen to like these people. However, she was kind of more ascribing it to the way that the stars are positioned rather than
cultural evolution.
Yeah, and so I can appreciate the fact that, I don't know, she found these patterns or whatever. I think that the cause is wrong. But then she whips out some shit like, in a couple of years we're going to start seeing aliens and the government together. And I was like, okay, that's not a pattern, because that's just hasn't happened before.
That's interesting.
But yeah, as far as psychics and stuff go, man, I'm so hard pressed to believe anything.
I've never had a tarot reading, a palm reading, anything like
That's
that.
That's another thing she did, was she was a tarot reader.
But I'm curious too. I probably would.
Yeah, I'd check it out. It seems like fun.
Seems like a Jersey City type of Atlantic City.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's a boardwalk ass activity. Go down to your state. You're looking plumper still, by the way.
Dude, I've been getting some compliments recently, and boy howdy does it make me fucking feel good.
Good. They should be recognizing it.
Yeah, but
how heavy are you?
Probably like 245. I haven't weighed myself in
chunky boy.
Probably like a week or two.
Heavier than I've been.
Yeah.
I have plateaued out around 210.
Yeah.
I can't lift often enough for hypertrophy and to need the growth. So even eating as much as I can is really like maintaining muscle mass. I'm not really putting anything on.
How often are you lifting?
The last 2 weeks have been kind of bad with Thanksgiving, the holidays, and my back was a little out of whack.
Yeah.
And then EMT class starting, I've been a little down. This past week, I only got to lift once and go to jiu-jitsu once. But generally, I get to do 5 or 6 activity events a week. Like 3 lifts and 3 jiu-jitsu, or go for a run, lift twice, jiu-jitsu twice, something like that.
That's still more than me. I only lift like 3 days a week, and I wrestle once a week.
Consistent though, 4 a week, that's pretty good.
Yeah, definitely.
That's probably
consistent.
what I'm averaging out to over the last couple months. But if 2 or 3 are jiu-jitsu and 1 or 2 are lifting, that's not going to pack on weight.
My big problem is the weekends, man. I cannot motivate myself to be physically active on the weekends. Because most Fridays and Saturdays I end up like drinking, and then I'm just like hungover, and I don't know. I can think of 1,000 better things to do with my time, where it's like I have a whole day to like, I don't know, go grocery shopping or do
work on your paper to be published.
Yeah, exactly. Or do like whatever during the day. And also I
learn how to edit a podcast, something like that.
Yeah, sometimes. Not as often as I should be. But I've noticed this with myself, that it's a bit of a character flaw in the way that the more time I have to accomplish a task, the less likely I am to do it. Like, so when I was in, like, especially when I was in school, because that's just like, you're constantly just being given tasks at literally 24/7. You can be working at 3 a.m. and being productive. But if I had like a packed day where I just had like class, wrestling, whatever, I would be able to in between like consistently keep working because I was in that mode. But if I had a whole Saturday to myself, it was like nothing was getting done. I would have all day, because it was always like, oh, I can do that later, and then later would come and I would be like, oh, I'm just not in the mood.
But when you have another class later and then a meeting after that, and a practice in the evening, you use those hour and 10 minutes or whatever between.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what it is, and I don't like it about myself that like I just fall into lethargy so easily.
Well, you are also hitting the lifting and the working out that you want to, I'm assuming, about to the goal that you would, right?
Yeah, I mean,
and you're not, you don't have to take home work, right? It's kind of...
Oh, yeah, I kind of can't take home work.
Confidentiality, gotta love it for that.
Yeah, for sure.
So you leave work at work, you're hitting all the lifting you need, you're cooking and meal prepping, and we haven't recorded a huge bulk of podcasts. Like, you're getting everything done that you need, and I think that's why. You know, subconsciously or not, whether or not you spend the whole Saturday grinding, you're not going to fall behind on any of these deadlines.
Yeah, that's
Even
true.
these tasks that you have, like edit podcast number 4. Mm-hmm. You know you have 2 weeks for it to be done, so 1 week in, if you have a full Saturday, you still have time. If you had more stuff happening and more deadlines, I'm sure it wouldn't be a problem. And I'm sure even with an open day, you would be working on stuff if it needed to be done then.
Yeah, that's very true. I will say, when I am being lazy, I hear it a lot from people where it's like, oh yeah, when I'm lazy, I just feel like so worthless and like a piece of shit or whatever, and I should be doing more. And that's generally not me. I very much enjoy my laziness. Like
because you know you're being productive enough in the rest of your time.
That's true. Yeah.
Don't stress it. This is something I definitely had to come around on from earlier type A Zane. But that was something I definitely had to learn from earlier versions of me. Like, anytime I wasn't working on something, I did feel bad, or I knew I was falling behind because I was so often trying to juggle so many things at once. And now that I hit adulting, especially before I was doing the EMT training, when we were still like just fleshing out ideas for what this would be, the only things I had were hang out with my dog, do my job, and work out sometimes. So I would have, relative to what I'm used to, a ton of free time, 2 or 3 evenings a week, at least one, maybe both days on the weekend that were pretty open. And I did a lot of nothing and watched a lot of Netflix, but you got to be able to justify it like, well, for the last 5 years I was grinding. If the first 2 months right now I have some downtime, all right, it's different, experience it, enjoy it. You can't let that bother you. And it used to bother the hell out of me. It took some tips from you to enjoy the time that I have to myself. And it's kind of nice, man.
One of the things about adult life, I think, is that I think when you're in college, the big difference and the reason why for me, and it sounds like you and a lot of other people I know who, well, a lot of people I know who did way better than me in school, who like excelled, but were super stressed out about a lot of things, was that college... I
can think of someone with a 3-letter last name.
But I think that in college, you're like, so much is demanded of you in different kinds. Whereas like when you're in the real world, the only resource you're ever really spending is money. And in the real world, when you have a job, you have money to spend. Whereas like in college, it felt like it demanded my money, it demanded my sleep, it demanded my like physical activity, my like social outing. I had to like be spending in all these like separate directions, where it's like now I go to work, I make my money, and then I kind of can do whatever when I come home, and I'm just not being pulled in 1,000 different directions ever.
It's much more voluntary where you have to spend those other parts.
Yeah, it's voluntary is the thing. Because, yeah, I could be. Like, I do go to the gym or whatever, and that's like... But it's completely up to... I mean, and I guess stuff like that is also up to you in college. But, I don't know. Nothing's expected of me. So it's whatever I want to give forth.
You're not competing on a team, if you want to use the physical aspect. It is expected that you'd be lifting 2 or 3 days plus practicing 3 or 4 days when you were wrestling. Or for cheerleading. 2 3-hour practices a week, 1 or 2 more bonus practices, an 8-hour football game on the weekends.
That was always rough.
Yeah, I mean, when one sport you're doing takes 15 hours a week, another sport takes 25 hours a week, and then you have any duties for clubs or social things or fraternities that take another 15 hours, then you factor in the actual 35 hours of class time you have, that almost equates to a work week. Plus the time to do homework, you're budgeting easily double the time away. Everything is going to be pulling you much harder, especially because it's what you have to do. That's how you engage. That's how you enjoy your time. That's how you build networks. That's what you're supposed to do in college, and that's how you make the best of it.
I was definitely ready for it to end, but I don't know. There is something romantic about that, just because I remember when I used to be, my junior year, I was just like doing too much for me. Where it was like I was taking my engineering classes, and I was wrestling and cheering and working at the bar and in SIGEP. And they were all just degrading because it was just too much for me to handle. And I remember my dad telling me... It becomes
a duty more than something for fun.
Yeah, exactly. And so I remember I was talking to my dad about it or whatever, and not even like I was complaining or even saying like, oh yeah, I have so much going on or whatever. But he saw how much was on my plate and was just like, look, if you need to, drop something... you should drop something. And so he wanted me to quit the bar or whatever. And he was just saying, like, there's only so many things that you can only do in college. And because I had just joined the cheer team, and he's like, if that's what you want to do, that's great, but it's also something that you're never going to get another chance to do, and you can work at a bar whenever you want. So
that's wise.
Yeah, exactly. And so I took that to heart, and yeah, I mean, it was such a good idea just because, man, my grades were slipping. I was like not sleeping. I would cheer like... I would get up at 6 a.m. or whatever and then spend all day cheering, come home, eat something quick, change into my bouncer uniform, and then just go to the bar until like 2:30 a.m. And it was, it was just rough,
That's
man.
That's a brutal Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. And that was my day off.
That was your weekend.
What I'm saying? That was my weekend from class. Was just nonstop going. And I mean, especially cheer. I mean, bouncing was honestly way more chill than cheering because it was just kind of standing there and looking like I was going to kick someone out. But yeah, man.
Especially when what you have to do, like cheerleading, demands enthusiasm and outward energy. Not just presence, not just work, but work and then some.
Yeah.
When the definition of your job is to be the one that's happiest to be there, that's just another layer of draw on your energy and resources.
It can also be awfully hard to be an intimidating bouncer when
the whole day long you were yelling, "Let's go!"
with my megaphone in hand. Yeah, and then people would come up to me like, "Didn't I just see you cheering at the football game?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, but don't fuck up."
Deep voice, no jeweling in the bar.
Yeah, exactly. Keep the jewels at the football stadium.
It's nice to be done. I think we both did a pretty good job maximizing it. There are very few things that I didn't get to do in college. I think I just realized there was a second the other day. The first was I was never truly on a D1 sports team. And I think that I might have had the physical ability to do that, and I definitely had the dedication and energy to do it, but it didn't jive with extra classes or different sports and clubs. I never got to try. And
there's not too many D1 doctors out there, man.
Yeah, you think Namdi?
Yeah,
but he's a special case.
Would you be happy doing that though if you were on the team but didn't play?
I don't know, honestly. I think that I would have, like freshman year, had I tried out for their football team when I was much less injured. They were not a good football team, and I was coming in like in one of the better shapes that I'd been in. I think I might have been able to make the practice team, and I might have honestly been excited enough to be a part of it and think that I was helping train the first team.
Yeah, true.
I think I might have actually been able to enjoy that.
Yeah.
Maybe not as much as actually being in the action, but I think it still would have been something. But definitely, given the trade-off, it's not like I could have done that with the things I did.
Yeah,
and I'm more happy to have done what I did.
So diversified.
Easy enough. The other thing that I realized maybe yesterday that I didn't do as much as I wanted to have in college was to travel. I was hoping each like winter break or spring or summer I could do a volunteer trip somewhere, go for a week, do the Ecuador mission trip, do the month in Zambia that I did manage. I was hoping I could do something like once a year with all of these college brigade trips where there's fundraising and it's team supported and people your age.
Yeah.
I wanted to do a bit more of that. I ended up working more and banking up more money and staying local to the area, also for cheer over break a lot of the time. But at least I got one good full semester of that.
Dude, you made the most of that abroad trip, man. You went, you got around.
I did, but a lot of that was also fun travel. I didn't do as much of the volunteer work travel as I would have liked to. I would have traded 2 or 3 countries in Europe to do one more trip to a place that was in medical need.
Okay.
But such is the way it worked out. It wasn't like I did empty breaks. I was either working 2 jobs or living on campus as the RA over break and training for a sport. Like, it was time well spent. But that would have been an alternate thing. Yeah. And those are the only 2 things I can think of. Neither one really plagued me. So I think that's why I'm not super nostalgic. Yeah,
as far as studying abroad, I never got to do it. And it always seemed like kind of like a cool thing to do. It just never really like worked out for me, especially because I was undecided for fucking 2 years. And so it was kind of a mad dash to graduate and had to stay a 5th year to do it.
I wish I'd seen some plan ahead of time and we had hit it off to the best friends level earlier.
Yeah.
I would have worked very hard to pull you along with me on the semester. Done it 4th year maybe instead of 3rd, something. But
yeah, traveling abroad is such an incredible opportunity, I feel like. Like, when else in your entire life do you just get, what is it, like 4 months, 5 months, 5? Yeah, like never in your life where you're just going to get 5 months to just live in another country with the full expectation that you'll come back to your life and it's totally normal and everything's like just as you left it,
continues on plan.
Yeah, exactly. And you just get to like experience this other culture, or multiple cultures in your case, with really just no downside other than the fact that it's kind of expensive to do compared to just going to school regularly. But
believe it or not, and anyone out there listening who's still in college or yet to go to college, please hear me on this. It can be cheaper.
Really?
Yes. The traveling that I did racked up more debt, but that was compared to in-state UConn that I had free tuition to.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Because of the high school grades, I got the free tuition scholarship at UConn, so I wasn't paying tuition, just room and board and, thousands of other dollars of fees and hidden bills that UConn will hit you with, but I wasn't paying the lump sum of that. If you're going private or even just paying full in-state at $25,000, $30,000 a year, first of all, the housing, depending on where you go, in Sweden, it was stipended by the university. So I lived in a studio apartment, my own living area, kitchenette, actually full kitchen. I had an oven, a fridge, everything, my own bathroom, and it was $450 a month in rent.
Damn.
Which is significantly less than any dorms, significantly less than pretty much any rental situation.
That's $450 for you post stipend?
Yeah, that's like the cost that you pay to live in this student housing at the university.
Okay.
The tuition, if you do an exchange trip, it's an exact trade. A Swedish student goes to UConn, I go to the Swedish university, either same year, same semester, or they total it up over time and it evens out. But because it's an exchange, you pay UConn tuition rates. This is the same case for any school that runs a direct exchange with foreign universities, but you pay your tuition. In my case, that was still zero tuition. So I didn't pay tuition, I paid less in rent.
Yeah.
I had to pay, of course, the flights were a couple $1,000s.
Yeah.
And then all of the traveling I did mostly drained my savings account. But the base cost for the semester, room, board, and tuition, was less than it would have been to be at UConn for a semester.
Wow.
So look into it. A lot of people dodge study abroad because of the finances, but there are, first, a ton of scholarships offered by foreign universities, third parties, your home university. There are aspects of the scholarships that they give that give you a bonus stipend. For example, my tuition one had a $2,000 grant that I could use towards any enrichment opportunity. They let me apply that $2,000 directly towards study abroad. I paid 3 months of rent and part of my flight with UConn scholarship money.
Yeah.
So you can apply it that way. People are super flexible. And honestly, everyone in all of the abroad offices at the home and foreign universities are doing everything they can to help you get there.
Jeez.
So I definitely think it's worth it. It ended up costing me more, but that was because I was choosing to go to
on adventures,
5 new countries a month. So that's the reason it cost me so much.
That's another cool thing about Europe, man. Like, you throw a stone in any direction and you're in a different country.
I was living in Sweden, 20-minute train ride to the Copenhagen airport in Denmark. 17 euros was the flight over to Lithuania.
Did they just put you in a catapult?
It was like just a regular, okay, well, we run this flight regularly every other week or once a week at this time. Yeah. We're running the same flight.
Like a bus or
and
a
it
train.
never fills up. So Skyscanner was the app I used, and they have flash deals. They're like, hey, look, empty seats.
That's so sweet.
$20 to catch a flight to a new country.
Yeah.
I was like, whatever.
Damn.
And then, between Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, I spent 8 euros for a bus ride that had an espresso hot chocolate machine on the bus.
Whoa. Screens
in each seat with movies in English. And it was like a 4 or 5 hour coach bus ride for $8 to another country.
They're living over there.
It was incredible.
That's the thing about other places too. Like, my brother's in Peru right now, and he's paying $1.50 a meal. That's
2021.
So nice.
When we do Southeast Asia, I'm going to do 2-3 months. Come along for a month of it.
Yeah.
If we're in Cambodia, Laos, Thailand, that's dollars a day.
Yeah,
and
seriously.
The best part, well, I don't know best part, I guess that's subjective, but one of the things I'm super excited for is I get to be generous without hurting myself. I can tip everywhere and well, and it won't drown me.
You'll be a king.
I like to tip well, and finally I can do it without hurting me.
No, I hate tipping well.
Exactly. No. I go to a bar and I'm like, all right, $8 for this beer, and it's just a draft. But if I give a $1 tip, that's 10, 12%.
Yeah.
All right, $2 tip for pouring a draft.
No, that's so true. Like, when I go to bars and some drink is super expensive, it's like, yeah, you're getting $1, maybe $2 if I'm in a good mood. But it's like, when I would go to bars, like, back at UConn, where I, like, part of it is that I knew the bartenders, but even if I didn't, like, if I get a bill back and it's, like, cheaper than I thought or cheaper than it's supposed to be, like, yeah, you bet your ass they're getting a big tip. Like, come on. Like, the money I saved is basically going right back to them.
Yeah, I've agreed in my mind to spend as much as going out would cost.
Yeah.
And cool, this is cheap. Friends behind the bar helped hook me up. This is money I agreed to spend. This is for you.
Oh, that was another fucking great thing about college bars, man. Was like, not only was it the cheapest bar you'll ever go to, but also all your friends work there.
That's the saddest part about going back. As fun as it is to like see the bar and see your name written on the dollar bill stapled up or whatever else, now I go to Ted's and there is one bartender, maybe two bartenders that I know, 3 or 4 bouncers of 15 or 20. By the end of next semester, I'm not going to know a single person there. And then it's just a packed bar filled with underage
with kids
people,
way younger than me who I don't know. Yeah. Oh, that's so true.
The
that's
draw
so
to go,
sad.
But that's been nice. I've been back to UConn to go out with friends once or twice this semester, and now that I did the 5th year grad year, and now it's the 6th year after I started, there's so few people I know, I don't feel drawn to go back.
That's so true. Yeah.
It's made it very easy to be like, all right, that stage of life is done.
Yeah.
We're moving on now.
Yeah. Yeah, after this year, there's not going to be too many people I know either, I feel like.
I don't think I'm going back to UConn, aside from maybe alumni events after this coming spring.
Yeah. I'm thinking one more homecoming. Because there were so many people who graduated with like you and with me that went this past year, and I have a lot of friends who are going to graduate now who are going to go again.
Okay, one more homecoming, that's fair.
Yeah. I feel like that'll be a good time. But separate tailgate from all the craziness. Like alumni off somewhere else with an actual grill and actual food.
Oh, God.
And
imagine.
not just drinking Four Loko on an empty stomach at 8 a.m. Yeah, in the rain. God, that shit was so ratchet.
And then sometimes UConn even scored points.
Yeah, I mean, not enough to win, but
and not enough for us to go and watch.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
You can tell that we were cheerleaders.
Jeez, man. Oh, yeah, cheerleading. I think we talked about it on our episode 0 that probably will never get edited because it was so rough. But man, being a cheerleader is the craziest thing, just because you're on the side of the field and fucking whether they're winning or losing, you have to be happy, which makes no sense, as like you're basically given the direction of be the biggest fan in the stadium. Yet when they're losing, don't be sad, be even happier and more excited for them to keep playing.
Pump them up.
Yeah, exactly.
Occasionally, very rarely, once or twice a season, I felt like there was a time where the cheerleaders were sparking something, or were loud enough, or were close enough to the team where we might have actually had an impact.
Yeah.
But that felt like a special moment once or twice a semester.
Dude, I feel like that only happened where we actually led cheers was when we were in the student section, and they're going to be like drunk and crazy anyway. But even when we were one section over, like yelling at the parents of the players, like who should be more invested in their children's playing than the other students who are just drunk and expect them to lose. Like, yeah, we got nothing out of like anybody.
Kids, God bless the 8-year-olds. They gave us the most energy back by far.
They were always excited to see someone do a backflip.
Oh my gosh. And the way it goes for the cheer team, please take pity on them if they ever look exhausted by the end of the football game.
Seriously.
If it's a noon game, we have a report time of what, 6 a.m., 6:30?
Yeah.
We're on the bus at campus. Everyone is already done up for the day. Now, granted, if you're a guy, that's pretty easy. You pull on the spandex pajamas and grab your megaphone.
It's so true. Roll out of bed.
But the girls were up at 3:30, 4:30 to do makeup, hair, everything that they have to do to put together that stays together for the next 15 hours.
Yeah, they had to look beautiful before any like person would ever expect to see them. So crazy.
Then early morning sad because it's so early bus ride to the field, warm up, and then start courting fans, basically, for 2 or 3 hours. Fan events, appearances, you have parts of your team siphoned off to present, I don't know, a special promo or point at something and look excited in the background.
Subway sandwiches.
Which you have to look as excited for as you do for the University of Connecticut football team.
Yeah, you got to be fucking hyped for Subway, man.
Eat fresh. Even after, post-Jared, you still had to be hyped for Subway.
One of my favorite parts of cheering, and whether it was football or basketball, although I feel like it happened more in football, was during like halftime or timeouts or whatever it was, when they would pull a student onto the field to do some like game, like, oh yeah, kick a field goal. Like, it was like throw, punt. They started a certain distance back, they would throw it as far as they could, then they would punt it as far as they could, and then from wherever it landed, they had to kick a field goal. And these kids were bombed every time. These kids were not sober. Imagine that. You just like, you woke up at like 6, 7 a.m. or whatever to start drinking with your friends, and then you go to a football game and you're still drinking, you're drunk, and then someone's like, hey, you want to try to kick a field goal? And you're like,
in front of a
stadium. Yeah, exactly. And then it doesn't hit you because you're around all your friends. They're like, yeah, do it, man, do it. And you're like, hell yeah, I'm going to kick a field goal. And then all of a sudden, you are pulled onto the grass, onto the field.
And man, does it look like a big stadium when you're on the ground level.
Exactly. And everyone in this whole stadium is staring at you because there's nothing else going on. And you're just like, oh no. And so, of course, they never made it. I don't think maybe
once or twice.
Yeah, once or twice.
Oh, did we ever get more excited as a cheer team than when a student wins like a half-court shot?
Oh, that's so much more exciting than a fucking touchdown, dude. Oh my god. When some
He's
Joe
one
Schmo,
of us.
When some like Joe Schmo comes down and like sinks a half quarter, and it's like, bravo, sir. Yeah, no, there was a lot of times, because especially during basketball, they would do a lot of those things where it was like they'd pull 2 people down.
Compete in a tricycle race.
Yeah, they compete in a tricycle race or like a
free throw competition.
Exactly. And so like so they put like a couple cheerleaders for each person. And so like, dude, if my guy won, I was dapping him up. I was giving him like a big hug. I was like, this is my fucking guy right here.
Ride or die for
yeah, exactly.
What was your name again?
Who knows?
Drunk kid with the blue face paint, number 4. But after 3 hours of that, you get to line up and welcome the football team there as they finally roll in from their catered breakfast at a hotel.
Yes,
even for a home game.
Oh yeah, oh god. I remember there was one time some football player, like, he was like trying to start a YouTube channel or whatever, like, good for him. He basically made a vlog of his day, and I remember he made a vlog of his day or whatever, going to like the training compound, like showed like the food that they get and the workouts that they do and like the dorm he lives in and all this kind of stuff. Like, oh, that's kind of interesting. But people were like absolutely pissed. Like, they fucking, I remember like people telling me like, why the hell does the football dining hall like just have all the best food? I remember talking to a girl about it, and she was like, did you see the football player's vlog? And I was like, no, why? Like, what's up with it? She's like, they have every fruit. They have, like, I'll go to the dining hall and all they'll have left is like grapes and cantaloupe, and these guys have strawberries and blueberries and pineapple. And I was like, yeah, man, they're living the good life, I guess. But yeah, like, he put this up on Buy or Sell, and it wasn't like a negative thing at all. It was just like, here's my day. And,
in case you were curious what it looks like.
And yeah, people got so butthurt about how fucking well they're treated.
How our tuition was going towards it.
Yeah, oh yeah, that too.
Now you remember why they were butthurt.
Oh man.
So that would have been nice had I joined the football team.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, they definitely get some perks, man. And yeah, like you said, being holed up in a hotel before a home game.
Because the coach wanted less distractions. They would get a hotel for the home games the night before. What?
Yeah, I guess they must just not trust them.
Charter jets? Oh, well, that actually makes sense.
Yeah, they just definitely don't trust them.
That's fair when you have... Oh my gosh, what happened with the football player on a scooter with like a pistol in Stores Center at one point? Yeah, there was there was gun arrests with UConn football players.
Wow.
Plenty of... Yeah.
Damn.
Someone was drunk driving a scooter around Stores Center, sophomore or junior year. And I think we could see that. This must have been sophomore year because I was at... Or freshman year. I was at...
Whenever it was.
The apartment of cheer friend.
Okay.
And could see downstairs, like out the window, 3 cop cars and a fire truck.
Wow.
And a football player or big blue jacket.
Yeah.
You recognize it anywhere. But yeah, apparently he'd been like drunk driving. There was some disorderly stuff. Another football player was in a car nearby and they found a loaded gun like under his driver's seat.
Whoa.
This was yeah. I guess I see why they put them in a hotel the night before. When tensions could be running high.
Yeah, seriously. Oh my God. Yeah, no, those guys, I remember, because we used to also do security for frat parties, which, what an incredible gig that was, honestly.
Kudos to you, Kappa Sig. God bless.
I feel like I was overpaid while I underperformed because we didn't do anything. But for whatever reason...
Occasionally, we were the face dealing with the police.
Oh yeah, that's true. That was big.
And
because they didn't want a bunch of their drunk frat brothers talking to police, which is fair and we could do that. But 90% of the time, it was just the first hour and a half you check a list and then you just chill there while pledges bring you beer or whatever you want and you just shoot the shit with whoever's like hanging out with you. It was, and the thing is, I came into like that industry, I guess you could call it, like pretty early on, because I don't think it was really happening before our sophomore year where
That's
they were
fantastic.
hiring people.
We rode that wave all the way through.
Oh yeah.
That's the reason I didn't go bankrupt in college.
Because for whatever reason, I remember just like being asked like, hey man, I'm bouncing this frat party, do you want to do it with me? I was like, that's weird. And they were like, yeah, but they'll pay you like $120 for 4 hours of work. And I was like, God damn, yeah, sure, I'm down. And that was just, the going rate also slowly crept up like through our time. Like we would get paid like $150 sometimes.
And sometimes it was 5 or 6 hours, but I want to say we were averaging, that was probably $25 an hour as an average over the time that we were at UConn.
25-30, but it was just like, oh my God, it was the sweetest gig. And then it just kind of like also ingratiated you with the social scene at UConn.
When they saw you at their party, then the next night at the bar, then the next night cheering for the basketball team. Yeah. It helped running all 3 of them at once.
Yeah,
I think the 2 of us with those overlaps, it was just a little more social on campus.
Yeah. Oh, and I forget why I brought that up, but yeah, bouncing frat parties, man, that was such a nice gig. Like you just get like a text on like a Tuesday, like, hey, we're having a party on Thursday. Do you want to like work it? And it's like, yeah, I got nothing going on.
I don't need sleep.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll trade some of that. Oh, absolutely.
Dude, this episode's definitely going to be called like College Memories.
That's a good tag. Yeah. But we should finish up what the football day like is for a cheerleader, for anyone who actually cared to listen this long since we faded off.
The football day?
Yeah. After the 6 a.m. report, the bus ride, get ready, the practice, the warm-up, welcoming all the fans, passing out frickin' buttons for an hour. Oh, yeah. Wandering around.
Dude, but you know what? It sounds dumb, but people fucking wanted those buttons, man. Yeah. Like, they really wanted those buttons.
People collect a lot of useless garbage, per se, and I have a lot of those buttons to prove the point. Yeah. But unique buttons for each game, pass those out for hours, then do just more happy facing. Yeah. Whatever promos, Husky Walk where all the vendors are set up. Sometimes you get a free shirt or a hat and that's the highlight of your day. But we're now 4 hours in, the team gets there, you welcome them in, continue happy facing outside, continue warming up, and then finally after the 5 hours after report time, maybe 11 a.m., we have to be on the field and start hyping up the crowd for the whole like pre-warm up. We're doing stunts, we're doing cheers, we're trying to get the crowd going for an hour before the game starts. And then it's 3 hours of football rotating around section by section to the 45 fans that are in front of you, the 25 fans that can hear you, the 15 of those that understand what the chant is, and then the 3 8-year-olds that are willing to jump in.
Yeah, exactly.
For 3 hours of maximum energy.
Dude, one of the things that was so weird, and they've stopped doing it since, and while I don't like it, I don't blame them, is during that like fan interaction at the beginning where we walked around to different like families' tailgates and stuff and handed out buttons, I felt like such a pimp, and not in the good way that you're probably thinking. In the way that like we would walk around with these young, beautiful women,
gorgeous, dolled up girls.
Yeah, exactly. And these old guys would just be like very often very weird to them. And you would just hear these horror stories about like, oh yeah, they asked me to take a picture, so I said okay, and I felt his hand slowly sliding down. And I didn't see much of that, probably just because like, I don't even know, like I don't think, who knows if I just got lucky or whatever, but like it was so strange but also so fun because like, especially when I'm there, all like the dads and grandpas are just like, hey, you're the smartest guy on campus.
The number of times some 50-year-old guy said, I wish I had done this.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
When I was in school.
Oh, man.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, they think
we got so many dad props. They think we have a harem.
Oh,
but that was definitely part of the goal. When you're wandering around through drunk tailgates, they split the guys up with a squad of 3 or 4 girls.
Oh, yeah.
Because it helped as a deterrent.
What's funny
without a doubt.
What's funny, too, is that sometimes instead of a male cheerleader, they'll send the mascot. Oh god.
Who just gets harassed along with them.
Like worse than them, for sure, dude. Kids are just like jumping on him and stuff, like
dragging on his tail.
Oh dude, there was one time it was at a basketball game and our friend was the mascot and he may have been less than sober.
Is this the Jolly Rancher incident? That was the football game.
This was a different time. So he may have been less than sober. And
but he can't talk when he's in the mascot costume, and he just has to be animated.
Yeah.
So, depending on how liberal your views are, he might have been doing his job better than they asked him to.
And so, but anyway, so it's literally just me and him walking around the basketball stadium, whatever, like greeting fans. And all of a sudden, this very large man like comes down, and he's so excited to see Jonathan the Husky. So excited that you realize that, oh, this man does not have his full faculties about him. He may be impaired, I'll say, to be politically correct.
It's time right now to put your cards on the table. How are we handling incidents like this on the podcast, Steve? How are you addressing him?
We're handling him our best.
He is blank. Pick a word.
He didn't have his full faculties about him due to
we're taking a soft
genetic
approach.
disorder. But he was so happy and so excited to see Jonathan. And so Jonathan the Husky in his husky suit, he's like, he's waving at him. And then all of a sudden the guy goes, but you have to see my dad. And all of a sudden, vice grip on the wrist, pulling him up the stairs. And keep in mind, I'm here for this whole thing. And so I'm thinking like, oh man, I should probably go stop this. But it's also hilarious. So I let him just kind of like cook in the heat of this like very awkward situation for a while. And so I'm just watching this guy pull him up the stairs to his father. And his dad is clearly like, oh, like, thinking there's a person in there, which...
It's
hard to say, yeah, exactly, whether or not this registered with the man pulling his hand. But, just being very nice, like, oh, hi, how's it going, to the mascot. And then eventually I walk up there and I'm like, oh, like, Jonathan has a bunch of other fans to see, we gotta go. And so eventually we leave. But, yeah, no, I definitely let him kind of cook for a little bit.
I'm sure he had something to say about that experience afterwards through the mesh screen of Jonathan's mouth.
Yeah, he wasn't a fan. I don't think it came up with him, though, that I wasn't doing everything I could, because he was kind of wrapped up in the moment, and like I said, may have had a little bit of drugs beforehand. And by drugs, I mean marijuana, so barely a drug.
I just thought you were thinking of the time when he had Jolly Rancher marijuana before a basketball or a football game. So that 8-hour, 10-hour marathon of cheer... He was the mascot for, I want to say, up until the first half.
Yeah.
So all of the fan interaction and then the first half of the game. And we come in at halftime because he has tagged out with one of the other mascots. Thankfully, we had 2 or 3 in rotation at this point.
Had 3.
We come into the locker room at halftime, and he is slumped behind a locker with the door open to hide him against the wall. Sweat pooling on the floor, face beet red, passed out against the wall. And I wake him up, and he doesn't remember the previous 3 hours. After Husky Walk, everything was a blur.
I just remember him taking that Jolly Rancher, and we get off the bus. We just get off the bus, like on the way to the game. Nothing has happened yet, and he looks all kind of out of sorts, and I'm like, "Hey, bro, you good?" And I just got a very simple, very succinct, no.